Good morning, I'm Samriddhi K.C. and these are the headlines of the hour. Higher smuggling, encroachment and similar human actions drive bird species towards extinction. Total 142 species fall under the threat. The Madhesh government promises to build houses for the poor through the Janta Awas program, but only 300 houses remain in Saptari. Houses built are of poor quality. US President Donald Trump imposes 25% tariffs on Canada, Mexico and 10% on imports from China. Risk of global trade war escalates amid the decision. And Nepal all set to clash with Netherlands in the T20 Tri-Series today. Nepal prepares for its first victory while the Dutch chase for their second. Welcome back. Destructions of grasslands and wetlands is reducing suitable habitats for birds. A bird specialist reports that 142 bird species are in endangered list, including 39 found in mountainous regions. Habitat loss, poaching, use of pesticides and population growth are contributing to their decline. The eagle, white-eyed and needle-tailed birds are now nationally endangered. A study by various conservation organizations confirms the rising endangerment of the birds in Tarai. The number nationally endangered species of birds in the Tarai increased from 104 in 2014 to 132 in 2017. A 2011 report stated that 149 bird species were endangered across Nepal.
करिब 40 प्रजातिका चराहरू विश्वमै दुर्लभ संकटापन्न अवस्थामा छन्.
In 2017, the number of endangered bird species in Nepal was reported as 169, while the Bird Conservation Association recorded 172. A study at the end of 2025 will reassess the number of nationally endangered birds, with ornithologists predicting an increase in their count. Himalayan Nature Organization reports that 84%, which is 142 species, face threats due to habitat destruction, while others are risk from pesticides and poaching.
को चाहिँ विनाश चाहिँ एकदमै रहेको छ अनि अर्को कारण भनेको चाहिँ चराहरुको चाहिँ एकदमै चोरी सिकारी चाहिँ भइरहेको छ. अब यो निकुञ्ज क्षेत्रमा पनि भइरहेको छ र निकुञ्ज भन्दा बाहिर पनि भइरहेको छ. पुरो निकुञ्ज क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ अलिकति कम भइरहेको छ.
According to the Ornithologists Association, Nepal is home to 897 bird species. Among them, 650 resident bird species live in Nepal year-round, most of which rely on trees. There are 150 migratory species, 65 summer visitors, and 32 nomadic and wandering species. The Janata Awas program launched by the government in Saptari to build homes for the poor has failed to meet its targets. The public housing initiatives struggle due to the government's lack of focus on quality during construction.
The public housing program for the poor and disadvantaged communities was initially implemented by the Union and later by the Madhesh Province government. Under this program, 4 families from Bishnupur Rural Municipality 1, Khurihuria in Saptari are set to receive new homes. When construction of the ward office building began on land where those families had lived for generations, they sold their agricultural land and purchased 0.231 acres of land for 2,100,000 Nepali rupees. This land was then entrusted to the Urban Development Office, which has since been renamed the Infrastructure Development Office. However, the 4 families have not been able to move into a house built under the Janata Awas program. The reason is that the house had collapsed during construction. After purchasing land in an uninhabited area and beginning construction, the building was destroyed in a storm.
नहीं गेलिए उ ईटा घर बनबैते ईटा झोर खसै छले ओइ घर में त धियापुता लाके जतिए धियापुता मरतिए न ओइ घर में अपनो मर जतिए धियोपुत को मर जतिए कना के ओइ घर में रहिती अपने मने ईटा झोर खसै छै जम्मै ईटा झोर खसै बढ़िया कोनो डुप्लीकेट घर बना दे घर नने बनबल घर याल जनता पास नै बनबल के गुमा घर वास जगह अपन 2 कट्ठा 6 कट्ठा जगह रे 5 कट्ठा तो मोल लाके बेच के जगह तो अपन जगह ले लिए बसे द्वारा आ खाए पिए लखनी दुख से मरे छी खाए पिए न बड़े छ
The house built 6 years ago under the Janata Awas program for the Guruwaka family in Agnisar Krishna Swaran rural municipality of Saptari remains incomplete. The beneficiary claims to be exhausted from visiting the office multiple times and is currently living in a hut that was rebuilt after their original house was destroyed.
टाइम दे 10 दिन का टाइम दल के महीना दिन का टाइम दल के वो टाइम पर जाइए टाइम आवे टाइम पर जाइए तो फिर टाइम बढ़ावे उठना सा ना टाइम दे देते हम लोग को दौरे थक गेलिए.
The Infrastructure Development Office in Saptari, the concerned authority, has dismissed the issue, stating that the situation occurred due to poor quality cement despite substantial budget being allocated.
राज्यले दिने भनेको जस्तै जुन चाहिँ छ नि 3.5 लाख हो प्रति आवास, त्यो 3.5 लाख भन्दा 4 लाख त दिन सक्दैन नि त राज्यले. जे छ त्यहीमा गर्ने हो भनेको आफ्नो घर आफै बनाउनु पर्यो, त्यहाँ के चीज छ भने त्यो त आफैले गर्नु पर्यो नि त.
The government provides 350,000 Nepali rupees for the construction of each house under the Janata Awas program. While quality houses have been built in other areas of Saptari, progress in this region has been slow. Out of the 891 houses planned in Saptari, 498 have been completed, 34 are under construction, and 89 have not even started. Now, with the Madhes government stopping funding for the housing program, construction of the remaining houses has been halted.
India has maintained its financial aid allocation for Nepal at 7 billion Indian rupees for the next fiscal year. Nepal will receive the same amount as the previous year, which is around 11 billion Nepali rupees. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced that Nepal will receive 7 billion Indian rupees in aid. Among South Asian countries, the grant to Afghanistan has increased from 5 billion to 10 billion Indian rupees. Assistance to Maldives has risen from 4.7 billion to 6 billion Indian rupees. However, aid to Myanmar has been reduced. According to India's union budget, India will provide 3.5 billion Indian rupees this year, a reduction from 4 billion last year. India, which allocates the largest share of its aid budget to Bhutan, has cut grant assistance this time. Last year, Bhutan received 8.7 billion Indian rupees in grants, but this year the amount has been reduced to 3.7 billion rupees. However, loan assistance has been set to 17.5 billion Indian rupees. In total, Bhutan will receive 21.25 billion in aid from India this year. India's budget has prioritized key sectors including eradicating poverty, ensuring 100% quality school education, expanding access to healthcare and producing a skilled workforce. An ambitious plan has also been introduced to involve 70% of women in economic activities. This budget also announced a full income tax exemption for the middle class earning up to 1.2 million Indian rupees annually.
I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees.
India has adopted a flexible policy for the import of renewable energy and import of raw materials, offering exemptions to manufacturing industries to boost employment. This strategy aims to facilitate electric vehicles and mobile phones production while attracting more foreign investment.
ट्याक्स को दरहरु घटाइदिएको छ. बेसिक ट्याक्स दर नै घटाइदिएर ईभी गाडीहरु इन्डियामा व्यापक मास रूपमा प्रोडक्सन होस् र मोबाइल ब्याट्रिजहरु चाहिँ यही बनोस् भनेर त्यसलाई चाहिने इक्विपमेन्ट्सहरु त्यसलाई चाहिने मिनरल्सहरुमा पनि घटाइदिएको छ.
India has announced 10 billion Indian rupees fund for startups to boost domestic trade and employment. Likewise, Dhanadhanya Krishi Yojana aims to enhance agricultural productivity in 100 low-yield districts, reducing the production costs.
र नेपालको वस्तु कृषि वस्तुलाई चाहिँ प्रभाव पर्ने हुन सक्छ र त्यहाँबाट अझ थप चाहिँ नि कृषि उत्पादन यहाँ हुने सम्भावना हुन्छ र हाम्रो कृषि उत्पादनको प्रतिस्पर्धात्मक क्षमता चाहिँ कम हुन सक्ने सम्भावना छ.
India proposed a defense spending of 6.81 trillion Indian rupees for the 2025-26 fiscal year, up 9.5% from the previous year's initial estimates. This year's defense budget will be 8% of the total budget. CP and UML's Central Cooperative Department and National Cooperative Federation have recommended amendments to the government's cooperative ordinance. Department Chair Khagaraj Adhikari and Federation Chair Om Devi Malla submitted a recommendation letter to the Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli in Balwatar suggesting amendments to cooperative ordinance for the replacement bill. They propose revising the provision that limits individuals to 2 terms and restricts them from serving as directors in cooperatives focused on savings and loans. In response, Prime Minister Oli said that as a joint government, they had consulted with all the political parties while drafting the replacement bill of the assured of the further action. Welcome back. A fire spread at Gauri Shankar Conservation Center situated in Sindhupalchok Bote Kosi Rural Municipality 2 has been uncontrolled since past 3 days. The fire started due to electricity short at the slope of Himaribur Hydropower Company last Friday. The complex geographical state has been adding to the problems. As per the chair of the rural municipality, Kumar Shrestha, helicopters have been deployed to bring the situation under control since the morning. It is time for international update. US President Donald Trump ordered 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports and 10% on goods from China starting on Tuesday, risking a new trade war that economists say would slow global growth and reignite inflation. Trump signed 3 separate executive orders on the tariffs after a long golf outing in Florida, vowing to keep the duties in place until what he described the national emergency over the drug fentanyl and illegal immigration to the U.S. ends. Responding to the concerns raised by the oil refiners and Midwestern states, Trump imposed only 10% duty on energy products from Canada, with Mexican energy imports facing the full 25% tariff. Automakers would be particularly hard hit with new stepped tariffs on vehicles built in Canada and Mexico, burdening a vast regional supply chain where parts can cross borders several times before the final assembly. The U.S. action sparked immediate vows of retaliation by Canada and Mexico, with no immediate reaction from China. A White House fact sheet said the tariffs would stay in place until the crisis alleviated, but gave no details on what these 3 countries would need to do a win to a reprieve. A tariff announcement makes good Trump's repeated threat during the 2024 presidential campaign and since taking office, defying warnings from top economists that a new trade war with the top U.S. trade partners would erode U.S. and global growth while raising prices for consumers and companies. Members of the LGBTIQ community, feminists and supporters took to the streets of Buenos Aires to show their rejection of President Javier Milei's statement at the Davos Economic Forum last week. During a speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos on 23rd of January, Argentina's Javier Milei charged against the LGBTIQ collective by associating it with pedophilia, questioned gender politics, and said that feminism seeks privileges that undermine equality before the law. The far-right economist also lashed out against immigration, environmentalism, and abortion rights, saying he hoped to make the West great again by implementing what he referred to as liberal policies. His statements generated a wave of disapproval in Argentina, and under the name of the Federal Anti-Fascist and Anti-Racist Pride March, Argentines took to the streets to protest and prevent a setback in gender and inclusion policies. The protesters demand, among other things, an intervention from the justice system, the Congress, and all the state institutions, as they consider that the president's statement constitutes an attack against the law and human rights. The demonstration takes place a week after the government announced it will introduce a bill called Equality Before the Law, which includes eliminating the category of femicide, the murder of a woman or girl because of her gender, as a criminal aggravating factor, as well as ending the non-binary identity document and the trans labor quota, among other initiatives. Israelis demonstrated in Tel Aviv calling for the return of all remaining hostages left in Gaza as 3 more captives were released by Hamas as part of an ongoing ceasefire deal. Thousands packed in city's Hostages Square and another protest site outside the country's defense ministry to demonstrate. 3 Israeli hostages were released earlier on Saturday. Kate Sigel, Yarden Bibas and Ofer Khalidorn were all returned to Israel by Hamas in exchange for the release of 183 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. The total number of hostages freed so far is 18, including 5 Thais who were part of an unscheduled release on Thursday. After Saturday's exchange, Israel will have released 583 Palestinian prisoners and detainees, including militants serving life sentences for deadly attacks, as well as some detained during the war but not charged. During the first phase of the ceasefire, 33 children, women and other older male hostages, as well as sick and injured, were due to be released, with more than 60 men of military age left for a second phase, which must be still worked out. Negotiations are due to start by 4th of February on agreements for the release of the remaining hostages and the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza in the second phase of the deal, which is intended to lead the final end of the war in Gaza. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.